children forever true. A call to the bloodlust wherever they be.
The Soulsborne games have legions of fans, and Bloodborne is arguably the most beloved of them all, with its intricate gothic architecture and fast-paced combat system. But if Bloodborne is the cream, then its one piece of DLC, the Old Hunters, is what the French would call the cream of the cream. The main reason Bloodborne fans love it so much is that the Old Hunters contains the most spectacular and infamously hard boss fights in a series that is literally all about spectacular and infamously hard boss fights. There's Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower, a badass pirate-looking huntress who uses her own blood as a weapon against you. Don't you need that, Maria? Then there's the highly aggressive and wildly unpredictable Orphan of Kos, who is so fantastically challenging you could end up stuck on this fight for weeks. Seriously, this is what Bloodborne fans call a good time. Our favourite though is Ludwig, a name that is rather understated considering he's a bizarre nightmare horse monster with vestigial legs hanging out of his butt and who screams like, well, like you would if you had vestigial legs hanging out of your butt. Did I say favourite? I meant to say, oh god, please make it stop. The new environments in the DLC are also brilliant, with the fishing hamlet upgrading the game's whole deal from subtle Lovecraftian themes to extremely obvious Lovecraftian themes. And finally, the Old Hunters also contained the game's most over-the-top weapon, the Whirligig Saw, better known to its friends as the Pizza Cutter. See if you can guess why. Alright, who ordered werewolf pepperoni?
Ah, Duke Nukem. I see that you've been busy, haven't you? Rammed that thick skull of yours against the mountain and it moved for you, did it? I knew you wouldn't disappoint. No matter, I'll deal with you in due time. In the meantime, I have a few friends for you to play with. Do play nice now, won't you?
Duke Nukem Forever DLC, The Doctor Who Cloned Me, features adequate gunplay, some moderately engaging level design, and only a handful of bugs and glitches. Why is it in this list of DLCs that were better than the main game then, you might ask? Well, because the original game, Duke Nukem Forever, was a broken, poorly constructed, morally objectionable trash fire.
Yeah, I'm back, baby.
The original game was so awful that even the distinctly average The Doctor Who Cloned Me campaign felt like a breath of fresh air. It had a brand new storyline featuring Dr. Proton, a throwback antagonist from the very first Duke Nukem game, and a brand new, less muddled plot that involved clones of Duke who were somehow even more dim-witted than the original.
Damn, I'm looking good. No, I'm looking good. I'm looking good too.
Quite a high bar to clear.
Authorization failed.
Oops.
There were even some reasonably funny, inventive moments, like how Duke Nukem can run around on the surface of the moon without wearing a spacesuit for as long as he can hold his breath. Don't try that at home, kids, or more specifically, on the moon. The little studio behind this DLC was Triptych Games, so called because for a while it was literally 3 people working in one of their kitchens. They're the ones who helped finish off Duke Nukem Forever after 3D Realms went bust, and then were tasked with putting together this story DLC.
That's gotta hurt.
The thing is, after the main game had one of the longest and most troubled development cycles in the history of gaming, the Doctor Who Cloned Me was whipped up in only 6 months after the game's release. Even more surprising, at just over 2 hours long, it was an impressive half the length of the original story mode. Just think, if they'd worked at that rate for the entire 12 years of development, Duke Nukem Forever could have been over 40 hours long.
What the hell? No! Come on, no! This is disgusting!
And thank God it wasn't.
Busan, the land of love and wine.
Exactly how I remembered it.
Like all right-thinking people and video games, The Witcher 3 knows everything is better with vampires.
I would ask you to convey to the Duchess that I've but one victim left, but you'll not get the chance.
This was the fundamental truth that we assume led to the development of The Witcher 3's best and last expansion, Blood and Wine.
This land has never seen such unspeakable evil.
Blood and Wine arrived 1 year after the original game, right on time for Witcher aficionados who had already consumed the enormous main campaign and the first expansion, and were still hungry for more. What they got were 20-ish more hours of gameplay in an entirely new map, namely the remote and lovely-looking region of Toussaint.
Oh! Stock send the whip await those running riot.
The main plot threaded through this DLC took in a ritualistic murder mystery, aristocratic intrigue, and dark family secrets. All of it ideal fodder for a classic Witchering adventure.
Don't let them fool you into thinking it's just another contract.
At the same time, Blood and Wine differentiated itself from the game proper with its frequently playful tone and some of the best laughs in the entire series. Shout out to the quest where Roach gains the power to communicate with Geralt, forever changing the way we see our equine pal.
Gotta say, I expected a young mare to sound girlish.
Based on what? Your vast experience with talking animals?
There was a novel mutations system to judge up Geralt's abilities too, and a bunch of new monsters to try them out on. But the most important thing Blood and Wine did was give lovely hero Geralt at long last somewhere to park his butt after so many hours of wilderness adventuring.
I so don't feel like going anywhere. Sit here a while longer?
So we shall, my friend.
It didn't hurt that somewhere was a luxury vineyard with a sprawling estate, staff, and even a stable for Roach. Yeah, you don't hear her complaining now, do you?
Creepy sci-fi horror game Alien Isolation was a textbook example of how you should make a licensed video game. It perfectly replicated the design, atmosphere and tone of the original movie. That would usually be enough, but just to be complete about it, the game's 2 pre-ordered DLC packs, named Crew Expendable and Last Survivor, perfectly replicated everything else from the original movie. That means instead of playing as Amanda Ripley, you could step into the space sneakers of her mother, the OG alien exterminator Ellen Ripley, voiced by the original actress Sigourney Weaver.
It's the only plan we've got. If you've got a better one, I'd like to hear it.
Crew members Lambert and Parker also returned to reprise their roles as walking alien chow.
My question is, it's using the air ducts to move around.
Sevastopol Station from the main game, meanwhile, was swapped out for the tight confines of the Nostromo spaceship, recreated meticulously from the movie's set design. There's the cockpit, the crew quarters, and the Mother supercomputer.
I spoke to Mother, and she's picked up a distress call, a repeating acoustical beacon from a nearby planetoid.
It's also a more digestible length than the original game, which had about 8 consecutive endings before it finally wrapped up its story. Taken as a 2-part DLC, Crew Expendable and Last Survivor is the movie, brought to life in 3D on your Xbox. In fact, the only thing missing is Jones the cat, which is unacceptable, clearly. We'll let them off this time though, because these 2 brilliant pieces of DLC are the closest you'll ever get to actually playing an Alien movie, an experience we cherish even more given how crushingly disappointing Aliens Colonial Marines was. No, I still haven't gotten over it. Ask me in another 7 years.
Cheat codes can be a lot of fun, though sometimes they go well above and beyond. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, the 10 craziest cheat codes ever discovered. Starting off at number 10, it's Rage 2, the Cheat Wizard. Rage 2 is part of a dying breed of games that still have cheat codes, and there is some appropriately weird stuff here. I mean, you don't go out on a whimper, you go out on a bang, right? If this is where we go out as far as cheat codes go, at least we're in good hands. Actually getting cheats in Rage is kinda strange on its own. You have to buy them from an in-game vendor called Magoo the Unborn, who sells them at his store, which appears at random locations around the map. usually somewhere in the middle of nowhere, conveniently enough. But at least the balloons make it stand out when you see it. Most of the cheats are pretty amusing, but not too crazy. Stuff like making enemies die in one hit, or causing red barrels to rain from the sky in front of you, etc., etc. Goofy stuff. The craziest one is definitely He's on Fire, which makes it so the NBA Jam announcer,
"Welcome to NBA Jam!"
Tim Kitzrow, yes, the actual person who did the NBA Jam color commentary in the 1990s. Yeah, he commentates over the in-game action, and he does it a lot.
Can't stop, won't stop!
If you have any nostalgia at all for NBA Jam, this is a hilarious edition, and
whoa, baby!
If you don't, it's another bizarre non sequitur. Either way, it's crazy, and I would hope people find it funny, because I sure do.
Oh, now you mean business!
Coming in at number 9 in the Grand Theft Auto series, a pedestrian riot. This is an all-time classic cheat. The riot adds a little more chaos to the madness of Grand Theft Auto games, making it so that every pedestrian on the street becomes aggressive. Like, you don't last long, and don't expect to, because this is basically like total insanity. The only way you're going to survive this is cheating yourself some protection, which you can do, sure, but this is clearly one of the more dangerous modes to activate on this list, because if you save your game while this is active, that is it. It will never go away. There is no option to disable it, and you're just stuck dealing with an endless riot forever. Grand Theft Auto games can be notoriously buggy when it comes to cheats, and everyone who's a fan of the series knows at least one simple thing. Never cheat then save. It's bad enough to try to follow the damn train without having to deal with this chaos as well. The cheats literally make everyone in-game crazy, and if you make the mistake of saving, it's gonna make you crazy too. Crazy pissed off. Maybe the actual cheat is that if you cheat in this game, it will cause you to want to start a riot. At number 8 is Rogue Squadron 2's Flying a Car. The original Rogue Squadron had a cheat that took players years to find, the Naboo Fighter. And while it's interesting it took so long for people to dig it up, the actual vehicle is not that interesting. Now this secret vehicle in the sequel, this is something different. Sure, you can unlock famous Star Wars vehicles like the Millennium Falcon, the TIE Advanced, or the Slave One, but what you really want is the convertible. Nothing is better than flying through the void of space with the top down. This is actually a specific car too, the 1968 Buick Electra, and even more ridiculous, it's pound for pound the best starfighter in the game with crazy speed and agility and the best secondary weapons of any ship, period. No competition. There is even a bobblehead in the cockpit of this vehicle. If you want to get gold medals in every mission, this is the vehicle to use, which might actually be the craziest part of this all-around crazy cheat. At number 7 is Tomb Raider's Exploding Lara Croft. The original Tomb Raider games were notable for their bizarre cheat inputs. Instead of just going to a cheat menu and putting in a code or pressing a series of buttons in-game, you had to perform certain moves and actions to activate a cheat. Like, to skip to the next level in Tomb Raider 2, you need to hold the walk button, sidestep left, left, back, forward, release walk, turn around 3 times, jump forward, and roll. For the game that is actually quite a bit about precise movement, it makes sense, but that's a hell of a thing to pull off. Definitely one of the strangest of these codes is, well, the Exploding Lara cheat, which by the way does exactly what you think it does. To perform it, you hold walk, step forward, then back, turn around 3 times, this time still holding the walk button, then backflip. Perform it correctly and you explode. Maybe one of the most pointless, elaborate, and hilarious cheats of all time. In a game where half the fun is jumping off ledges and falling to your death, I guess it only makes sense that you get a cheat that blows you up. At number 6 is Earthworm Jim and the alternate heads cheat. There's an interesting story to this one outside of it just being a pretty weird thing in a very weird game. If you enter a certain code in the cheat menu, it'll change Jim's head. There's a few different combinations, glasses with a mustache, classic of course, an afro, but perhaps one of the strangest ones is Donkey Kong with an arrow through his head. Why the Nintendo reference? Well, I guess it's a joke that the developers snuck in regarding Donkey Kong Country's release date, November 1994, which is very close to the SNES release of Earthworm Jim, which is October of that same year. The cheat only worked on the Sega Genesis version of the game, which had been out for months before Donkey Kong came out, August of 1994, so it's most likely a playful jab at the game's competition. It's kind of surreal surreal seeing what is clearly a Mario character on a Sega system. At least it was at the time. Nowadays, you're always seeing Sega characters show up in Nintendo games, but this was a time when Sega and Nintendo were bitter rivals. A time when Sega did what Nintendo don't. So this was pretty unusual. At number 5 is Banjo-Kazooie's Cheater Punishment. To activate cheats in the original Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo 64, you had to go to an actual in-game location and jump on each letter individually in a sequence. Normally that wouldn't be too bad, but these codes are long. These are the kind of codes you put in. Cheat once it's shown, but the long tunnel grill's now gone. Cheat now, Banjo will be able to see it on Nabnut's table. You can't make any mistakes, otherwise you have to do the whole thing over. And that's not even the crazy part. I mean, the crazy part's the one that turns you into a washing machine. As a cruel joke, if you input any more than 2 cheats that didn't involve revealing eggs or ice keys, items that were part of that whole infamous stop and swap system that never actually did anything, the game just outright deletes your save. I mean, it warns you about it first, but this is Banjo-Kazooie, a sort of irreverent game, so you'd think that those warnings about deleting save files would just be a joke, but no, they're gone. They get deleted. This one isn't crazy because of the cheats themselves, but what the game does to you if you use them. It's an instance where the punishment definitely does not fit the crime. At number 4 is Time Splitter's Future Perfect's Cascade. The Time Splitter series was basically the spiritual successor to GoldenEye, so of course it goes all in on one of that game's most defining features, the cheats. What you'd expect, it's, all here. Invincibility, infinite ammo, but by the 3rd game in the series, things were starting to get weird. Like the human gun sounds cheat, which replaces the normal firing sounds with people making gun sounds with their mouths. Or Cascade, which replaces textures with this gray scrolling binary. You know, like the Matrix for whatever reason. Probably the most bizarre one is this, twist, pun intended, on an old classic. I mean, you've seen big head mode, but have you seen rotating head mode? Get it? Twist, rotate. Yeah, it makes it so everyone's head constantly rotates. And it's not just for show either. Not for you anyways. The AI's sight range actually rotates with the head, making it completely impossible to sneak up on anybody. At number 3, Assassin's Creed 3, The Turkey Assassin. Not really a series that's known for its cheats, so it really stands out that we're talking about an Assassin's Creed 3 cheat. To see this elusive assassin, you first have to head to the home base, the Davenport homestead, and lean on a corner on the back wall near the porch, and then whistle. A turkey will show up for some reason. Now target it and input the famous Konami code. Up, down, left, right, BA. And the turkey transforms into an assassin turkey, complete with a little hood. Aww. This is one of the most pointless cheats I've ever seen, but it's certainly interesting, at least. Sadly, the turkey can't actually assassinate anyone, although I'm not certain why you would expect it to. It is, in fact, a turkey. At number 2 is Age of Mythology's Crazy Secret Units. The Age of Empires series has some history coming up with weird units you can use for fun, like the Cobra Car or Furious the Monkey Boy, but with Age of Mythology, they really go nuts with the secret units. Like Bella, who's just a dog but is insanely overpowered. Type Wov Woo to spawn a flying purple hippo that has a rainbow trail, follow it around. It casts a heart-shaped shadow, and when they attack, they spit out cartoon hearts. Yeah, I just said all that. Input O Canada, and you will spawn a laser bear, which both sounds and is bizarre. It's a bear that shoots laser beams from its eyes and attacks with 2 monkeys. If you wonder why it's O Canada, well, the Canadian flag is its cape. Also, most powerful unit in the game. Makes sense, right? Now, if you input Tines of Power, it summons a Fork Boy, which is just a cartoon hit in overalls with a pitchfork. You zoom in on him, and he kind of looks like a Vault Boy from Fallout, or the Big Boy. I don't know, it's crazy. It's everything in this game, all the units, they're nuts. And finally, at number 1 is Enter the Matrix's secret multiplayer mode. I mean, just cheating at all in this game is an ordeal. In the main menu, you'll find an option to hack. This leads you to an extensive hacking subgame that's just, yeah, there's a lot going on in here. You can't just type in cheat from the start. You can only input words into the command line that you've learned through exploring the directories, which eventually you'll get the cheat command with enough poking around. And while most of the cheats are pretty standard, there's one in particular that's just totally insane. Multiplayer mode. The fact that there's an entire multiplayer part of the game that's completely hidden is crazy enough. I mean, you don't do that. From my research, it just seems like it was part of the game left on the cutting room floor, partially finished. So they left it in as a bonus for curious players to discover. Playing it, you can tell they never really finished it. It doesn't exactly feel great, and the UI elements are obviously placeholders. Still, it's got all the characters: Trinity, Morpheus, that classic Matrix character, the janitor.
Virtual reality has been a very interesting playground for our creative team. It also opened new opportunities for location-based entertainment. Zero Latency has been pioneering VR since 2014. Their system invites up to 8 players to experience free roam multiplayer VR.
To be able to strap on a backpack, put on this headset, and then walk into the world, explore the world, interact with the world, be under attack in the world, to fight back. Those things are really, really unique to free roam VR.
Zero Latency felt perfect to explore all worlds in VR, and in particular, Far Cry.
We aren't trying to put you on an on-rails experience. We want you to be part of the game. We want you to be in the world. We want you to be fighting your way through the pirates and trying to escape.
Imagine being projected in the very world of Far Cry. Vast environment, abundant wildlife, intense gunfight, trippy scenery, and of course, iconic characters.
To be able to actually do the medium justice, to be bringing in AAA IP and giving it the time and respect it deserves is really, really powerful, and it's definitely going to elevate everyone's experience to the next level.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Just noise, I guess. Like right. Watch out! We need backup. Let's shoot him.
I told you 100 times, stop talking like that. You never know who's listening.
Okay, you wanna know about this world?
This used to be a sweet land. Then the diamonds ran out. Now the mercenaries fight each other like hyenas over a corpse. There are two sides. First, there's the APR. These men answer to an ex-military commander, Oliver Tambosa. The man is a fucking chameleon. You won't see his true colors until it's too late. But you're probably asking, what is the APR fighting? They fight the UFLL, a band of mercenaries, led by a man with a dangerously short fuse. Add it onto it. But there's another one. They call him the Jackal.
Jackal has become a phantom.
Not that the Jackal is a real supernatural creature.
Burned his own house to the ground. I don't know if he's a lunatic or a visionary.
The Jackal.
The rumor is he's starting his own offensive. It's gone. I mean, completely.
Little Jackal? Come on, guy's an army.
Who'd want to kill a guy like that?
Peggy 18.
Not yet, not yet. Here we are. Good. Jace, look at this place. Unbelievable. Paradise. Hey, Nikki, where are we again?
Island's not on the map. Let's hit it. Do some exploring.
And there's our boat.
Yeah! Guys! I'm on a boat!
Where did you find this guy?
Hey, Doug! Check this out. Are those real? You getting this? You recording? Oh, yeah. My man Jason brings the heat.
Hey, put it down. Go now. Go.
Okay, we got it.
What do you mean, hold on. We're leaving. Let's go, man. What a dick.
Okay. This is the last one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Hey, Doug. That's what I'm talking about.
Bring the fucker out and tie him up. It's fucking easy, man. Just fucking pull the fucking trigger.
What do you want from me, man?
Let's go, man. Shoot me.
No.
Come on, shoot me, motherfucker. Let's go.
Shoot me, motherfucker! Come on!
Oh, fuck. I've never seen a bigger bunch of pussies in my life. Hey, listen, mama. The bitch is worth a lot of money, but you and your fucking asshole friend, you're not even worth a bullet.
Come on, man. What are you...
Welcome to the future. The year is 2007. Nuclear war has nearly destroyed our planet. Now, an evil presence seeks to enslave what's left of humanity. And there's only one thing that can stop it.
Nobody threatens my planet.
Michael Biehn is Sergeant Rex Power Colt, a Mark IV cyber commando who's part man, part machine, and all American.
School's out forever.
He's got the science. He's got the firepower. And he's got the robo-balls.
That's a Rex Colt guarantee.
To destroy evil. He's more hero than any man on Earth.
I know hero. Firemen, policemen, janitors. Those are the real heroes.
He is Sergeant Rex Power Colt. And he's here to save the world. Far Cry 3. Holy shit. Blood Dragon. This standalone title is available now.
Passport. Breathe. I'll do the talking.
Passport. जल्दी जल्दी.
What's happening?
कहाँ से आ रहे हैं? पटना बॉस. पटना? पटना में क्या है? परवा है तो बाढ़ में जा. लेकिन हमारी रेंज में. मैंने कहा बाढ़ में जा. कुछ है? अभी तक कुछ नहीं. कोई बात नहीं बॉस, कोई बात नहीं, ले लो. चुप. मिल गया? कुछ मिल गया? हेलो. बॉस अभी जाने हैं. से निकलो. रुको! डालो! सबको डालो!
I distinctly remember saying, stop the bus. Yes, stop the bus. Not shoot the bus. I'm very particular with my words. Stop. Shoot. Stop. Shoot. Do those words sound the same?
But it got out of control.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
It got out of control.
Got out of control. I hate when things get out of control. One fucking job, but you couldn't fucking do that! And I got blood on my fucking shoes. At least there's a silver lining. We didn't completely fuck it up. Get up, boy. I recognize those eyes anywhere. I'm so sorry about this. This was supposed to be... well, not this. We have a party waiting for you, but I don't think I know your name. Who is this? Hmm? Is this your +1? Strong, silent type. I like it. I am terribly embarrassed about all of this. This was supposed to be very simple, but you know, if you give food to monkeys, they just throw their shit at each other. You know? Oh, would you hold this? For just a moment, I want to get a little picture right into the camera. There we are. Awesome. Don't worry about a thing, my boy. This will soon be behind us, and we'll be off on a grand adventure. Because I have cleared my calendar for you. You and I are gonna tear shit up!
Should I stay or should I go? Pre-order now for a free upgrade to the limited edition. Includes 3 extra story missions and a bonus Impaler harpoon gun. Pre-order now. Far Cry 4. Available November 18th, 2014.
Peggy 18.
Mas brashtar. Winja.
Sushash. Karticha.
Suwan brashtar.
Snort. Ninja instead.
We must atone.
Something is coming. You can feel it, can't you? You can feel that we are creeping towards the edge. And I know that you were out there. children, I'm here to tell you that suffering is a choice, and you can choose a better path. We want you, we accept you, and we will take you, willingly or not. And some of you may fight, but in the end, you will thank us. I am your father, and you are my children.
The end is upon us. I shall lead you to the gate. For you are my children, and I am your father.
PlayStation, the best place to play.
PlayStation.
Fuerzas ultrapenetrantes, estamos cansados de los farsantes, de los...
It's beautiful, amigo. Perfect, but useless. I have something for you, Diego. Give me your hands.
Papa.
Now, the grenade is simple. It has 4 basic parts. The shell, which contains the explosive, the fuse, the handle, and of course, the pin.
What are you doing?
Breathe. The pin simply holds the handle in place. It is only when you let go that this grenade goes boom. Follow me. Now, I am El Presidente, which means that someday you will be El Presidente. And our people, they do not know how to be happy. They are torn apart by opinions, noise, indecision, strangled by their own freedoms. And even if you have love in your heart, even if you want what's best for them, if you only want to save them from themselves, they will hate you, Diego. Everything you say, do, believe, will be wrong. They will answer you with screams, call you evil, a monster, and give you this. So you tell me, are you evil? Are you a monster? Because our country is like this grenade, except it has 2 basic parts. Our people and you must clutch them nice and tight, or we all go boom. You understand now?
Oh yeah, a car. Yes, it's a fighting game where you can play as a car. Multiple versions of a car, even. Like, this is 3 levels of insanity. First, the elaborate and completely optional hacking minigame, then the secret multiplayer mode, and finally, most insane of all, a fighting game where you can be a car. Give me the blue pill, I just want to go back to sleep. Anyways, that's all the crazy cheat codes we're going to talk about today. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time.
How's it going, everybody? Today we had the new BSG podcast, and we also got blessed by Papa Nikita with some brand new patch notes for patch 12.10, which is apparently, hopefully, going to be coming out early next week. Maybe. Fingers crossed. Let me just turn this down a little bit. Nikita's new track playing in the background. Very spicy. Go follow Nikita on Instagram and Spotify and all that. But anyway, let's get into the patch notes. Also, we just watched the podcast. I've got a little summary ready for after we finish the patch notes. So if you want to hear that, stick around until after I finish getting through all of these. Now, preliminary patch notes for 12.10.
Look, I'd be lying if I said the STM-9 was one of this gun live, or have any questions about any recent videos you may have seen. Hey guys, watching to the very level 3. The video here today, I do want to remind you, I do stream on Twitch. The link for that will be featured down in the description below. If you guys want to see me running this gun live, or have any questions about any recent videos you may have seen. As for buying the gun, you can actually purchase the gun from Skier level 3 for a reasonable price, you could say, for about 44,000 rubles. Now, this thing is basically a beefed up Saiga 9 with better AR furniture, I guess, in a way. So in reality, it is only single fire, and it does have to compete with the Saiga 9 purchased at level 1 Skier for 16,000 rubles. Now, the first thing we need to realize about the two versus each other is that the Saiga 9 is actually trading blow for blow with the STM. Even though the STM is like a beefed up version of itself, in reality, however, we are going to be noticing that the STM does have better ergo, and that is, guess to some people, important. Now, if we compare the two pimped out next to each other, we're going to probably start to realize that these two are comparable, like the ADAR versus the TX15, where the STM does get better than the Saiga 9. However, you have to spend a bit more money to get it there. It is better in both ergo and recoil when it is pimped out, but significantly more expensive than its cousin, the Saiga 9. For builds, it's not super crazy, but I would actually recommend not doing too much to this gun. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because of the amount of things you can do to this gun, but something as simple as throwing an AFG M-lock on there and a scope is pretty much as you need to do to this gun. In reality, however, if you throw on the 3.1 inch M-lock and then throw yourself something like the SI Cobra Tactical, you can get that ergo up nice and high. And I mean, basically that's what you want from this gun. The recoil is non-existent anyway, so the ergo is really important when choosing your attachments for this gun, and is the main thing you need to consider when thinking about attachments. Overall, this cheapish build will be about 40,000 rubles in attachments, roughly equaling to about 80,000 rubles with the gun. Now that's not too bad, and you can also suppress it for pretty cheap. If you use something like the SIG SRD, you can get it for a little bit lower recoil for about 31,000 rubles. However, if you use the Rotor 43, the 9mm suppressor here, you can actually get your hands on this suppressor for as low as 14,000 rubles and sometimes on average around 15,000 rubles. So that's pretty damn decent for suppressing the gun, roughly totaling 55,000 rubles for the whole gun. Now, if we take the two out to the range, fully pimped out, let's say we deck them to the 9s, the Saiga 9 really doesn't have that much recoil anyway, and it can spam pretty damn hard as fast as the heart desires. However, I do notice that the STM does have way better recoil and reset time, as well as that ergo feeling a lot snappier. I guess the major difference is as well, the STM just feels a lot more spammable. I don't know what it is about the trigger, but every single time I just use a mag on this thing, I feel like I can dump the whole thing just that little bit quicker. Now for the meta build, it is pretty simple. This is basically like an AR, so treat it like an M4. The attachments are pretty much as followed. We're going to be starting off with the advanced tube, slapping it straight on instead of the STM tube that it comes with. Then we get a few different choices for stock. Interesting enough though, the Fab Defense GL core stock that comes with the gun is incredibly good for ergo, so I could maybe just consider leaving that one on there. Switching straight to the Mo with the butt pad and then directly into the Graal S pistol grip, we will be boosting that ergo a lot. Keep the magwell on as it increases the ergo, and then once again changing that charging handle to something like the Avalanche or maybe one of the Raptors for a little bit more ergo here. Now if we continue to boost, the ergo of this gun is really where it thrives, so we're going to be throwing on the iron sights here, and then extending the barrel to the longest variant here, which is the 16-inch barrel. Once you unlock the 16-inch barrel, you can basically choose a wide variety of better handguards. This allows you to reduce that recoil and boost the ergo just that little bit more. Now, obviously, we're going to be sticking with the SAI QD rail, the age-old traditional M4 handguard. And I know this build's kind of boring, but if you do build your gun this way, especially using something like the Fortis Shift, the recoil and ergo on this build is nuts, and it is a lot of fun to snipe heads with. Once again, going with the age tradition of Steiner D-Bow, and then directly into the Silencer Co. Osprey 9mm. Now, this entire gun is going to cost you a arm, leg, a kidney, and maybe your mate's kidneys as well. And that's unfortunate to see. However, if you're just having a little bit of fun and you don't mind paying the whopping 236,000 rubles for this gun plus attachments, it is a lot of fun to use and is really enjoyable to snipe with. Alright, to this next build, however, I would definitely recommend, and this is my favorite here, we're going to be jumping straight into the Troy PDW stock, then going directly into the Graal S pistol grip. Now, once we're here, we're going to be changing that charging handle to the Avalanche, like we just did in the meta build, throwing on an iron sight for that extra bit of ergo, and then we're going to be talking about barrel length. Now, we've got a few different choices here, but I just wanted to point out that if you change from the stock over towards the 12-inch, you can actually unlock a bunch of handguards. If you hover over the handguards, you'll notice some of them are locked until you use a slightly bigger barrel. And if you actually extend that barrel to the 12-inch barrel, you can get way better handguards and get way better results. Jumping directly into 12-inch, and I know you guys are like, why use the 12 when you can use the 16? Because we're going to be getting that ergo up really high using the URX 3.1 10.75-inch handguard. Now, this handguard is very unique because it has these things called KAC long panels, and you have to buy 2 of them for both sides. It is a little buggy when buying these, and sometimes the preset will only purchase 1, but they boost your ergo by 3 each. Once again, putting on the rail and then jumping straight into the Fortis grip gives us a great hit of ergo. And then if we go towards the suppressor, even if we want to run suppress, we can keep that ergo nice and high, but we will be sticking with loud because this build that I'm about to show you guys can get up to 100 ergo with a loaded mag. Obviously sticking with the Defiance iron sights for that boosted ergo, and then we get plenty of different choices for scopes. Now, if we use something like an XPS-0, we're fine, but the moment you put us mag in, especially if that mag is loaded like a 33 Glock mag, we're going to dip below that ergo. So what you can do if you really want to keep this thing above 100 ergo is use something like the Cobra EKP8. With this thing is kind of weird because apparently if you put the shade on it, you gain ergo, even though you've got a scope on your gun, which is kind of nuts. But if you don't mind this reticle, this gun is absolutely nuts at 100 ergo. Me, however, I can't stand this scope, but you can sometimes even get 86 ergo, including a drum mag, which is absolutely nuts. You can build this gun for around 139,000 rubles, including the gun, which to me, for a gun with 100 ergo, is amazing fun, especially with 7N31 as like a backup gun. So you could bash into the STM for a number of reasons, whether it be the price or the fire rate or whatever, it doesn't exist in the meta or whatever you want to complain about. But the real issue with this gun, however, is the fact that it's zeroed for PSO GCH, which means any scope that you put on it is basically zeroed for 340 meters per second. And no one uses PSO GCH because it is absolutely... And the problem is, meaning if you use the scope with PSO, it's fine. But if you use it with any other ammo, you are kind of screwed. Because a lot of the AP rounds, especially 7N31, which we're about to talk about now, is moving a lot quicker. What does this mean for you using the gun? I mean, just look. The scope is hitting incredibly high. I had a lot of the time I was sniping with the scope, I didn't even realize what was happening and my bullets were going directly over the head of my enemy. So do you understand, if you are using this gun, it is incredibly good at range, but only because of the zeroing problems. So a lot of the time you can actually back up as far as you want, take some shots from range, and don't even have to worry about adjusting for drop, which makes the STM a lot of fun for single fire sniping, especially because the MOA isn't horrible and 7N31 can be just enough to one tap. I just wanted to point out this is a little bit of a problem. So if you do shoot a guy with the STM and it goes over his head and he doesn't die, don't be triggered, because I told you why here, and I hope the devs fix this in the future or give us an ability to choose the zeroing ourselves. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. I'm going to be working on videos just like this one, but for other guns. A literal unicorn within the gun world, the
Hey everybody, One Peg here with another newsy update. I had to do that because there's been like 2 comments in the last couple of videos of guys that are saying that they didn't like the intro. So I thought we would like triple down with some nice ping pong audio. It's here to stay. So sorry. It is what it is, boys. It is what it is. And if you happen to like ping pong audio, you're really going to love the sponsor for today's video. That has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with ping pong audio, and that is the Dude Bag. So the Dude Bag is a combat veteran-owned and veteran-employed business that handpicks at least $112 worth of items every month, shipped on the 15th of every month to your door. And what is even more interesting about the people that work for and curate these items at the Dude Bag is that they actually use the items contained in the Dude Bag themselves. If it's not something that these guys would use, they don't include it in the bag for y'all. The Dude Bag is a monthly, quarterly, or semi-annual based subscription service. And if you happen to like D2 as much as I do, the Dude Bag has something just for you guys. If you get a subscription at either a quarterly or semi-annual basis, you will receive a full tang steel D2 knife valued at over $200. Now, I'm relatively new to the guys at the Dude Bag, but in the short time that I have been working with them, I have found their customer service and their shipping to be exceptional, and they've been incredibly easy to work with. So I personally would recommend these guys to anyone. So check them out in the link below in the description and use code ONEPEG on checkout for a nice fat discount. Because we all love discounts, don't we? And ping pong echoes. I can't help myself. There were a ton of AK buffs. A ton. First, in my last news video, I talked about how Interchange had apparently had its lighting brought back up. But it hasn't been enough. The overwhelming majority of the player base still says that Interchange darkness levels are screwed and they can't really play the game on Interchange as effectively as they once could. Now, this could be by design, and maybe Nikita's trying to make it more stressful and strenuous for people. I don't know. He hasn't said anything, but obviously we'll kind of keep watching it, and hopefully it'll get fixed. Who knows? Second, if you have been playing Tarkov outdoors at any type of, I guess, long-distance visibility, you might have noticed something that looks a lot like this. So every once in a while, like right there, I'm going to grab it. See that? That like flash? That light flash? It looks like flashbangs are going off in the distance. I have no idea what this is. It's either a shadow issue or it's a lighting problem. but there's flickering going on all over the place, and it looks like flashbangs are going off constantly. People in the comments have been asking me about this. If I had seen it, I hadn't really noticed, and then all of a sudden today, I was like, what the hell is all of this? And as soon as I noticed it, it looked like they were going off, like firing off everywhere. Every couple of seconds, just kind of like looking off the cliff in reserve, they're all over the place. I have no idea what is going on, but it's happened since 12.10. I have not noticed it before now, so hopefully, again, this is something that gets fixed. I can only imagine that this is a shader issue. Maybe they'll get it to the guns. And here's the overall idea here. 545 AK platforms have been like the redheaded stepchild of the Tarkov world. 545 doesn't handle well enough. It doesn't have good enough ergo. It doesn't have good recoil handling. The raise speed is slower than a decked out M4, and the fire rates are too damn slow to keep up with the rest of them because the damage and penetration of the bullets doesn't do what Meta M4 and HK416 and 308 M61 builds can do. So, Tarkov devs, finally realizing this, have started buffing the AKs. We saw this happen back in February. At the tail end of February, they did a round of buffs. That one wasn't very great. There wasn't a whole lot there. It was like 1% here, not so much. Well, this one is actually pretty major and gives some serious love to AKs that have really, really been needed. So first we'll check out the 101, the 556 platform. Now there is a 102, obviously, but in this case, the 101 has better recoil stats than the 102 does. Now you can see here, the build is 45 vertical recoil, 130 horizontal, and 66 ergo. The idea here is that it is a much cheaper alternative to that of the M4. Unfortunately, the realization of Tarkov and the way that Tarkov has AK builds is that the builds themselves tend to be much less expensive than the equivalent M4 counterparts that are being decked out. But this, at the very least, starts to bring the platform into its own to where it's more controllable than what it once was. And given that the 101 only allows for 30-round mags, this is pretty much the ergo that you would see, even with an RK2 that has an ergo penalty. But with the PT3, etc., it actually helps it out a lot. And the fact that we're using an RRD now, which is king, instead of using suppressors, ends up helping out the platform's overall build considerably. And for those of you that have made it this far, here's some rule of thumb stuff for you as we progress from here on. The JMac RRD is the go-to compensator from now on. Until the devs change something else, the JMac RRD across all platforms, all AK platforms, has better ergo and better recoil than all of them. For your dust cover, you want to use a Bastion. The handguard of choice is now the Troy Arms combo. It has better recoil control than all of the others. For pistol grips, it's still the RK3. No pistol grip has recoil control built into it. And for stocks, if the platform allows it, you use the Zukov. Zukov is king. If it doesn't allow for a Zukov, then you use a PT lock and a PT3 Classica stock, because that is the second best thing that you have access to. All of the AK platforms, for the most part, use a combination of all of those items. So it shouldn't be that hard for you to build out your own meta AK, and all of the parts are readily available from traders. Obviously, the 101 being a 556 platform is probably not going to be something anyone uses, even with the controllability of the 101, simply because the M4, if people have the money, and who really doesn't nowadays, can be built out with better ergonomics and better recoil control than what the 101 is capable of, and has a much higher firing rate. So we have the 74M and we have the 74N. Now, both of these are relatively comparable, but the big additions here is that the 74N slightly edges out its 74M counterpart. Now, the 74M as a base weapon system has slightly better recoil control and handling than the 74N does. However, the main difference here is that the N has access to the Zukov stock, which the 74M does not. And really, that's the main difference here. The extra ergonomics and the extra recoil control are strictly because of the Zukov being present on the 74N and absent on the 74M. But an overall build of 45 vertical recoil, 123 horizontal, and 52 ergo with a 60-round mag inside of the body of the gun, pretty good. And last but not least, we have the 7.62 x 39 AKs. Now, the comparison between these, again, is the 103 having access to the Classica PT3 and the AKM having access to the Zukov. Now, if you notice, though, it's flip-flopped in this case, because the 103 having 57 vertical and 67 ergo is strictly because the 103's base ergonomics and recoil is just that much better than the AKM. So even with the extra bonus of having the Zukov stock on the AKM, the 103 still edges it out. So if you're looking for a 7.62x39 meta AK build to try, this one at 57 vertical and 67 ergo with the same mag and everything else built into it is what you want to do. And that's what I have, guys. Please check out the dude bag. Thank you for coming by the streams. It's been ridiculous, and thank you for coming by the old YouTubes, and thank you for putting up with my ping pong. All right, we'll see you. Thanks for stopping in, and I'll see you in the next video, and I'll see you on stream if you decide to stop by, starting at 7:30 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard every day. Peace.
parents told me this place used to be called Falls End. It's the reason everyone here knows.
Listen up. We know you've been out there doing good work for us, and Mickey and me, we've been on our grind too. Rounding up scabs, shooting rabbits, keeping all that free labor coming. But don't forget, sometimes you gotta kick back. Take it easy. This is our world now, people. Enjoy it.
You said it.
Listen up. We know you've been out there doing good work for us, and Mickey and me, we've been on our grind too. Rounding up scabs, shooting rabbits, keeping all that free labor coming. Sometimes you gotta kick back. Take it easy. This is our world now, people. Enjoy it.
different headspace than me, I'll tell you that.
waiting to see how you fit in here.
Howdy, mister.
That train crash must...
I grew up grubbing for nuts and roots. Nice to have a place like Prosperity to call home.